I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted.
President Trump reacting there to First Lady Michelle Obama, who's criticized him in her new book, Becoming. She called out the president for the role he played in the birther movement, saying Donald Trump, with his loud and reckless innuendos, was putting my family's safety at risk. And for this, I'd never forgive him. Joining me now, Sophia Nelson, former House GOP committee counsel, an NBC Think contributor, and a frequent guest on my show. So with a welcome to you, Sophia. I know you're a Republican, but you were inspired to write a book, and it's called Black Woman Redefined, Dispelling Myths and Discovering Fulfillment in the Age of Michelle Obama. So talk about that, this expected viewpoint of a spouse, or do you think Republicans can see Mrs. Obama's words as being political? I mean, give me a read on this.
No, I think, first of all, she remains enormously popular across the board. Republican women love her as much as Democrat women. She's very popular. That's number one. Number two, if the president were a real man, and yes, I'm saying that, I'm calling him out, he would have said, you know what, I was out of line with the birther thing, and she has every right to be concerned about the safety of her kids. I just didn't get it right. But of course, we know he would never do that. So I think that any mother can relate the safety of her children, of her family. Look at just what happened to Tucker Carlson. His wife was home alone, and they had people outside protesting, and she was frightened. So this stuff is real. Our words matter. What we do matters. Back to your question about the book, Alex, I was inspired during the 2008 campaign, as was everyone. I was a practicing lawyer in a big law firm, and I was so inspired by the Obamas. I had always wanted to write. I was doing some writing for the Washington Post on the side, and I got my opportunity when he won the primary. I wrote this article in the Washington Post. It went viral. Next thing I know, I had a book deal about black women and the stereotypes that define us. And the rest is history. And I was blessed to cover them and to get to know both of them a little bit. And I admire them both greatly. And listen, to bring your perspective to us, for which we are entirely grateful. But the president was holding back to a degree on attacking Michelle Obama directly. You know, kind of pivoted there, as you heard, went after her husband. Do you think that's going to hold as more details come out from the book? No, you know that one night he's going to be up late and he's going to be cranky and mean like he is over in France right now, and he's going to start tweeting about her, and then that's going to be it. Look, he's already in trouble with black women. He's going after April, he's going after Abby, and he's going after Yamiche Alcindor. So they're all friends of mine. They're all black female journalists who are extraordinary and outstanding. And he has already gone off the rails with black women a number of times. I don't think he wants to do it with Michelle Obama. You know, what you just said, we actually have a clip of exactly what you were referring to, so everyone take a listen to this.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president...
Such a racist question.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to...
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions. The same thing with April Ryan. I watch her get up. I mean, you talk about somebody that's a loser. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
You know, I mean, you mentioned Yamiche. We saw Yamiche there, then over to Abby outside as the president was departing, and then he references April. How much do you think that is politics? And how much do you think there is a group to whom this behavior appeals? And what group is that?
Well, what I think, Alex, is that the president is getting more and more abrasive with his language towards everybody, the press, African-American women. He definitely doesn't like the correspondent at CNN. And so there is just a group of people that he doesn't like, and that kind of means all of us, if we're going to be honest, except for his base. Yes, I think it appeals to his base, but I think that his attacks on black women in particular, whether it's Frederica Wilson or Maxine Waters or Omarosa, he's particularly nasty, calling them dogs, calling them stupid, calling them a loser. I just think that as a black woman, that's code language, and we all know what that means, and we don't like it, and we're not going to stand for it either. So expect to hear a lot more from us sisters about the president's behavior.
Well, look, there's a very diverse group of freshman women coming to Congress in the House. How do you think the president's going to relate to that?
I think that's why he was so not pleasant at the press conference. I mean, he's not a dumb man, contrary to what many may think. He's crazy like a fox, as my grandmother used to say. He knows what he's doing. And at the end of the day, he's that Archie Bunker uncle that you have who's stuck in the 1950s. He doesn't like the shifting demographics. Think of it. Donald Trump is a rich white man. His whole life has been about privilege and access, doing what he wants, saying what he wants, having what he wants. So he doesn't do well when women talk back or people of color talk back, because that's not been his experience at all.
Can I just quickly throw up a picture that we have from your book, and it's of you and Michelle Obama, and it's really cute there. And she wrote in the book, you know, politics was never, ever anything I would have chosen for myself. So she's never going to go there, you think? She's ruled it out for herself?
No, I think that's not her. I think her platform is global, and I think she is teaching women how to talk about our problems, to talk about our pain, to talk about our marriages, to get help. She's just amazing, and I adore her, and I'm unabashed about that. So,
well, there you go, and I hope she's listening. I'll probably send you a text or a tweet and say, thanks, Sophia Nelson. I'm thanking you, too. Good to see you.
Thanks, Alex. Bye-bye.